All right, we're going to talk about UFC 269. What a great card from top to bottom. Headlined by Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira. But what I want to really highlight and focus in on is the co-main event that took place between Amanda Nunes and Juliana Peña. Now, Amanda Nunes has basically become the invincible champion in the women's division. She's basically won about 12 straight fights ever since her last loss. Pretty much seemingly unstoppable. I know she had a couple of tough fights with Valentina and that went to decision, but more or less she was the odds-on betting favorite going into this fight, and rightfully so. Now, as the fight begun, she was loose, she was relaxed, and she was all smiles. She was all ready to handle her business and retain her title. And when the first round began, it seemed as though that's what was going to happen. It looked like she was in a different class, physically and even just technically speaking, when it came to her and Juliana Peña. It just seemed that she was just on another level. She seemed stronger. She seemed like her striking was better, and she even dominated on the ground. And it just looked like in that first round that it was going to be another blowout and another easy victory, seemingly going to happen in the second round, based on what we saw in the first round. But Pena had different plans, and she adjusted. And she came back in the second round, and she did what nobody expected to do. Now, one of my favorite moments, I was watching this fight with a couple of my friends, and my friend, he had placed a bet on Nunes. He told me specifically that was the only bet he placed that night. He said it was sure money. He was only going to win a little bit of money, but a little bit of money is better than no money, and it was a can't-lose bet, right? Well, right as the second round began, he said, you know what would be cool? He said it'd be worth it for Pena to win and for me to lose my money. And almost immediately after he said that, Pena started firing off that laser jab, that precision jab. And she was just firing that jab straight down the middle, right down the center line. Jab, jab, coming with that straight right. Jab, jab, coming with that straight right. It was the most basic boxing techniques you could ever think of. Good old 1-2, the 1-1-2, and she was just putting it on her. And Nunes didn't even know what to do. She was almost in shock initially that this girl was going heads up, toe-to-toe with her, just banging her out with a jab, 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 boom, cross, and just kept on doing it. And Nunes, she began to get stunned by it. And then, of course, she started just trying to just wail with that right hand. She started trying to throw power shots, but she wasn't connecting. She was getting tipped up and tipped up. She was just, it was a slugfest for a good quick minute there. But Pena was getting better than Nunes in Nunes's game. Nunes's game has been that strong right cross, that strong looping right that she just knocks people out with. That's become like her signature punch. But she had no answer for the basic boxing techniques, the basic striking, hand strike boxing techniques that Pena was throwing at her. Just a laser-like jab. Boom, 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 blam. Boom, 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 blam. And she just took her ass out. She wore her out. Nunes was trying to catch up. She couldn't keep up with the straight punches. Her punches were coming wide, and she was missing. She was getting fatigued, and all the while, Pena was just tipping her. Tap, tap, boom, tap, tap, boom, tap, tap, boom. And then all of a sudden, she was fatigued. She took her down, and she choked her out. What an amazing comeback for Juliana Peña. What a way to just use basic skills and fight fire with fire, but just be more precise and concise with the fire. And it was an awesome upset, and I love how my friend called it. And immediately when he called it, the tide actually changed. And I love when shit like that happens. It just it's a beautiful form of just kismet, coincidence. I don't know what it is. He called it. There was nothing to indicate that that's what was coming. He just happened to say it. And I love that about that fight. And I love watching fights with my friends. And I love that she was the underdog and she dethroned the champion. And Amanda Nunes was making some sort of excuse after the fight. I couldn't really understand what her excuse was supposed to be. I didn't stick around to watch any of the post-fight stuff. I had work the next day, so I went promptly to bed. Well, anyways, but I'm no expert. I just call it how I see it, and I love to see an underdog earn their way through a rough and tumble victory where they overcome adversity and eventually win. It's what the sport is all about. It's what sports are all about. The underdog coming up and doing the seemingly inconceivable, the so-called impossible. So I'm no expert. I just call it how I see it. You tell me what you think in the comments. I love when you engage with me. I appreciate all of you. Until next time, UNO.